Hi, I have new glasses. How are you? We're gonna do some safeguarding before we start. No bad vibes in my comment section or I will channel mute you. And we have a new rule, thanks to the fellow trans person who decided to ignore my repeated advice from the very video they were on about not doing that specific thing and decided to message me an essay worth of nitpicks I didn't ask for in my Instagram DMs. No strangers allowed in my DMs anymore. People that are still allowed in my DMs, friends, online friends, mutuals, people who know me IRL, and people who would like to commission me. If you are not one of those people and you have something nice to say to me, you can do so over any of my other public channels on my various accounts and risk getting blocked for bad vibes like everyone else. If you don't like me or my content, you can literally just close this video at any point and never interact with me ever again. I'm sure you can find someone else on the internets who you enjoy more. Thank you for your cooperation, and let's get into the video. As some of you might know, for the few essays I had to write at uni, my academic focus was on gender in media, notably men and masculinity, and gendered fetishization by the cisheads. Today's video is to give you a rundown of some of the men's studies stuff that I researched for that back then. I have truly just been radicalized in the best and worst way by being around my hypermasculine construction worker lads. So we are getting out the big guns. Heel turn villain arc, baby. So last time we talked about men's lib, and I will link to that video in the description in case you missed it. Early men's lib people were also the ones that coined men's studies as an academic field. They were trying to analyze the state of men and masculinity in our society to figure out what they wanted to change and improve for their post-feminist liberated man. I have read books from the 70s, from the 90s, more recent ones, and they all talk about the same shit they were already talking about over 40 years ago. Guys, we really need to make some progress on this. My God. Disclaimers. This ain't my theory. I will attempt to provide some of my sources in the description, but that list might not be exhaustive. We're not trying to make a proper academic essay here. I'm just trying to give you an introduction to the subject and some of its main ideas. If you have access to an academic library or to someone who does, I recommend checking out their men's studies section. It tends to be a lonesome shelf located near the several aisles of feminist theory, so it should be pretty easy to find. This theory is analyzing the mechanics of traditional cis straight hypermasculinity with the purpose of criticizing and improving upon it, not to reinforce it. If you are like, this isn't what I, a man, am like though, hashtag not all men, herder. Yes, honey, that's the point. You're already on your way to liberation. Good job. Same difference for the traditional hyperfemininity that it is being contrasted against. Alright, strap the f***ing babes as I scroll through my script. Okay. Let's start on patriarchy. It is not the broad strawman term that feminists kind of vaguely gesture to as the cause of all their troubles that has diluted the word's actual meaning over the years. Patriarchy is a system in which the male line inherits the phallus. The phallus is a symbol of and stand-in for male power, not the actual biological penis, although it's obviously invoking the image of a biological penis and supposing cishet male phallic superiority based on that. The father, or patriarch, is seen as the beginning of everything. Think like the Christian creation myth of their male god creating Adam first and then Eve from Adam's rib. Man come first, and sometimes only. That's a straight people joke. Hi. As much as I will rip into like the kind of usual sexist jokes that people will do that don't have gender creativity in their comedy, let's put it that way, they do have more practice at pulling a joke like that off than me, don't they? You don't come here for straight people jokes. Well, you come here for straight people jokes, but not for the jokes that straight people might make. The male heir is expected to triumph over his father figure someday and become the new patriarch. This doesn't have to be his literal father, it can be much more metaphorical. The idea is young men beating and replacing the established authority figure or status quo as part of their coming of age. Women and children are dependent on the patriarch. Women are exchanged by men in order to strengthen the male bond between them. Think anything from giving your daughter's hand in marriage, to sharing porn with your buddies, to telling dirty sexist jokes. The focus is put on the women objects to distract from the male bond and the emotions expressed by the exchange. Homosocial relationships are kind of gay in it. Fellas, is it gay to have male friends? I feel like feminist critique likes to focus on media that centers the woman object rather than the male relationships in its text. Like, I was watching Sweeney Todd recently, and that movie is incredibly patriarchal in how it treats women as tokens to be claimed and exchanged in male blood feuds. Yes, we are counting blood feuds as strong bonds. The focus is not on the women, it's on the men and their drama. It even has a whole song for the female gaze saying Johnny Depp pretty. How could it possibly be as hashtag problematic as your run-of-the-mill sparely clad big titty video game lady, am I right? In her case, the men exchanging her are the creator and the player, both of which are not actually present within the media text, making it arguably more insidious but not more patriarchal. Number one Twitch femboy and our favorite real-life trap Finsta here actually practices a really interesting version of this patriarchal exchange dynamic. He is a straight cis dude, believe it or not.
I am super straight. My thigh high's coming down. Give me a second.
His reaction to dudes telling him they're jerking off to him tends to be something along the lines of,
"Nice, bro."
And that is absolutely hilarious to me. He is selling fantasy. He, and they too probably, isn't conceptualizing it as they are jerking off to me, Finn. I am being objectified and I should be creeped out by that. They're not trying to date the man himself because they're deeply in love with him or anything like that. They're just jerking off to the image of pretty lady that he presents them with. He objectifies himself as his own dress-up doll. He has created the woman he exchanges to strengthen his dude bond. It's patriarchy eating its own tail, and it's beautiful. It's like vegan patriarchy. No real women involved. It's incredible. He somehow manages to maintain dude vibes under the pretty facade, resulting in a jarring effect to hear him talk compared to just seeing his images.
People often reminisce that my voice sounds like a, a cowboy walking into a saloon. Like, I'm very manly, very deep,
Feels like something that's separate from his identity, like a choice, treating his femme expression as an object rather than subject, like it would be for a lot of queer femme women. Yes, he's to some extent down with the femboy lifestyle in general at this point, like as part of his subject and identity. He has his long nails and hair like that permanently these days, and will occasionally wear skirts and stuff just for funsies because it's comfortable. But the dolled up version of it is still entirely constructed for the sole purpose of his performance, and that is the version that his straight boy simps respond to the most and pay him insane amounts of money for. I'm sure there's people who fetishize him and his butcher iterations too, but I think they're the outliers who actually fetishize his androgyny rather than the image of woman he puts on. The latter would be the most socially acceptable and straighter version. Are we discovering that the defining factor between traps being gay or straight is whether you fetishize them as androgynous subject or woman passing object? Interesting. He does seem to feel more uncomfortable when people try to actually push it on him as an identity or make him the subject. His audience has continuously tried to deny him his less than high femme expression.
Sports shirt thingy. This is like a football shirt. Cool. Box? Really? The football thing in the box? Why? My one thing, please. It's a similar thing. Like just a shirt, I guess. I don't think it's women's either. But still, can I not keep it? Come on, let me keep my football shirt. Let me keep my football shirt. Give me an inch of manliness. Come on, give me my manliness back. I want it, dude. I want to keep it.
They have tried to pay him to force transition despite being basically a certified cis dude at this point.
Thank you. I'm sorry about you. What do I do with that now? Holy shit! I've just taken HR2. I did it. Where's my $1 million that I asked for?
They will write fanfic shipping him with some dudes he knows and always make him the bottom in the relationship, despite him having been very clear about being straight in the top and not having any interest in anything other than that.
We both toppled over. Oh, chat. Time to stop for a second as I regain my breath, and then open my eyes, seeing Finn's face inches away from mine. Our eyes staring. Finn sat up too and looked at me, his face still red. I got my bag. He held up a small bag that looked an awful lot like a purse. I hate this story. My face was inches away from his, and I whispered, "I'm sorry about this." And then I kissed him. There's not a single one of me. No, I ain't getting no. I ain't getting nothing. What the f is this? I'm just a virgin in all of these. This is so annoying. Why am I always the bottom in these stories?
He's walking this fragile line between his reality and concept of what he's doing as patriarchal exchange as both the merchant and fake wares, and the denial and realization of the actual androgynous implications the matter puts on him. It's the idea of maintaining dude-bro masculinity separate from cross-dressing versus cross-dressing in and of itself compromising dude-bro masculinity. Patriarchy is an inherently phallocentric system. It revolves around the idea of having or not having the phallus. Gender is defined according to that binary as well, which again doesn't necessarily refer to the biopenis. The goal is to dominate everyone. Women in one's domestic and love or sex life, and other men in one's work and social life. You're trying to be the alpha Chad in every situation. This is also why Sigma males are a thing on the internet now. The alphas said, we're the f***ing best. And the Sigmas were like, what if you're wrong though and we're like better than you actually? Have you considered that? This is what every Sigma male talks like. Can't you tell? They're not like other guys. Oh my god. They are both so fucking stupid. Like, the Greek letter hierarchy system that you're using is not even a thing among the wolves you took inspiration from. That has been disproven years ago. It's a stupid dick measuring contest that neither of you will win. Please grow up, you fucking children. Yes, I'm still negging the Manosphere bros. What do you think this is? Not a recruitment video for my evil army? Please. Also, has anyone else noticed, right, in a bunch of recent East Asian media, because I watched too much of that, like Squid Game and Animal World, they will cast like an old white dude as their villain so that they, like, young East Asian hero can have his like hero moment over him at some point. And it has such Sigma male energy. I don't even know if I mean that like derogatively or not. I literally can't tell anymore. It's just fascinating to me. You're trying to establish your dominance over old man Hollywood. I see you, boo. I see you. You're still doing the same thing as them with all of their action hero propaganda of saying our cishet men are the fucking best humans alive and all should bow to them. It's just as much basic bitch phallocentrism, but it's for you this time. Isn't that nice? Like, it may not be the best way to counter like Americacentrism and white supremacy bullshit, let alone the lack of gender diversity and sexism in media, but like, it's something. It's something, isn't it? Two parties trying to make you believe the same stupid thing that is mutually exclusive from each other will make both of their messages less effective and audiences question things at the end of the day, and I think that's beautiful. A free market of media representation, you know? The thing is, in a system based on domination, if you dominate in one situation, you're gonna have to submit in another, because both power and hierarchy are situational, not universal. Traditional masculinity suffers from castration anxiety. To lose the phallus means emasculinization and to be degraded and dominated by somebody else. Presumably not in a fun way. Very scary. Whoa. Masculinity and femininity are contrasted and defined against each other. They're treated as binary oppositions. If you're not one, you're the other. Therefore, masculinity needs to stay pure and free of femininity, lest it be corrupted by it. Anthony Easthope imagines the masculine ego as a castle to be defended. against threat from within and without. It makes you paranoid, irritable, defensive, and full of anxiety. It's just generally very bad for your mental health. It needs to remain free of femininity in order to maintain itself. Conversely, this also means it relies on women and femininity to define itself in the first place. Right, so I've watched all of One Piece over the last few years, and I have some complaints about the Kamabaka Sanji situation, and they are not what you might think coming from a trans person. I could care less about Oda presumably going to like one drag show and going, I got it. He's been doing much better on his trans characters since. We got 2 whole, fairly decently executed by cishet men making anime standards in the most recent arc. We'll take it. No, that's not my issue with it. Well, I have many issues, but that's not the one I want to talk about today. My issue with the Kamabaka Sanji situation is that it was executed badly by shitty queerphobic trope standards. One Piece sent this man to Trans Island, put him in a dress, had him enjoy himself in said dress and submit himself to his femininity for like a solid week, passing the threshold of acceptable levels of femininity for straight masculinity that he was already teetering at the edge of with his metrosexual whole deal, compromising his pure masculinity forever. He has now experienced this. He is no longer pure. He can never be pure again. That's the rules. But instead of that, the show had him melt off the makeup, put the suit back on, and be as flippant as ever about not wanting to be put back into the dress, as if none of it ever happened. There is no point in vehemently refusing a dress to maintain a pure masculinity you have already lost. Realistically, it'd be a paradigm shift, a fundamental change in how he views and treats himself on some level. Even if he didn't end up being trans or cross-dressing in any significant way in the long run, he'd still be less paranoid about losing the phallus because it has already been taken from him and he lived. Zoro had character growth and grew more confident during his time skip gap year. Why not Sanji too? And I know the answer is it was the early 2010s or whatever and transphobic comedy. But also hear me out. Nami is a massive lesbian who just hung out with like a bunch of old dudes in the clouds or whatever for 2 years. And she could have come back to a flusteringly gorgeous, trans-sapphic version of her former straight boy simp. I am just saying, you got the wrong person being unable to cope with beautiful women being around them. This is why we can't keep letting the cis-right to gender fuckery stories. They don't consider the consequences of their actions, you know? Instead, why don't you go read my comic about an actually well-written blonde guy in a dress that was definitely not inspired by my frustrations with this very storyline and then got too out of hand for a fanfic. Yes, definitely. Also, if you're a cis person who wants to learn how to write and draw gender fuckery stories, I made a lovely tutorial on that you can check out in the description. If one fails to comply with the system, one needs to acknowledge that failure, read, self-deprecate, and reinforce one's own status as a second-class citizen for it, to maintain the system. Otherwise, one becomes a threat to it. We wouldn't want the women in quiz to get any ideas, would we now? That would be very scary, them having ideas. Women are seen as already castrated, yet somehow they're still alive. It's wild shit. Lesbians manage to live without the need for a phallus to begin with. Men-loving men have a wider range of gender expression. They might enjoy taking a passive or submissive role, and they manage to coexist with other men in a non-destructive and even loving way. The binary opposition becomes masculine and gay rather than masculine and feminine or straight and gay. Being gay is being equated to being feminine. I mean, being into men. Only women do that. Crazy. The idea of homo-attraction or transness incites hysteria because of the associated androgyny. It would corrupt the pure masculinity and therefore endanger the identity based on it. A man's most beloved man is also seen as the greatest threat to his heterosexuality. Fellas, is it gay to have friends? I finally watched all the Oceans movies recently, and I get that this is starting to become just like, here's what I watched recently, but I swear it's relevant. All of these are relevant. I've watched many more things than this recently, and this is just the relevant ones. Please bear with me. Let me tell you about Ocean's 11 and the bunch. So I finally watched all the original Oceans movies recently. The third one actually managed to pass the Bechdel test. I was very proud of them. They just scraped by, but they did it. Congrats, everybody. Everybody clap. It's one of those pieces of media where only the homosocial relationships between male best friends are treated as meaningful partnerships, while of course maintaining a strict no homo policy, obviously. Meanwhile, female love interests are sex objectified with no relevance as characters beyond just proving their man's straightness. It's basically imposing the idea that you can't have meaningful relationships with the people you're allowed to fuck, and you're not allowed to fuck the people you can have meaningful relationships with. After all, both women being people and men having gay feelings would be a threat to our characters' straight masculinity. It's very sad for Dwarric men on the patriarchy, and just shitty for the women and queer men involved as well. Like, it's not good for anyone. It ends up being this weird, unfulfilling polycule trope with a male wife best friend acting as a partner to complement a personality, connection, and agency lacking female love interest. And it's repeated in so many notably queerbaity media of the last like 30-ish years. It is truly depressing. Peter Tatham cites the hero as the traditional male archetype. The superhero genre as a whole is deeply intertwined with traditional masculinity. Like, I was in a bus the other week and I saw this construction contractor hiring place that just had like random superhero masks just painted in their window for no good reason other than I guess that this hyper-mask construction worker dudes feeling deeply connected to superheroes as a concept. Because that's the hyper-masculine male role models that they grew up with. You are tradesmen and construction workers who make like buildings and stuff. These guys destroy your work on the regular with no remorse. Have some professional self-respect, lads. God damn it. Superman is the ideal phallic male. That is not my quote. I love reciting other people's theory and just getting to make wild statements like that. This is a hard stance. Superman is the ideal phallic male. This is peak performance according to Phallocentricity. Don't you like this? Superman is the ideal phallic male. Even the concept of him flying, defying gravity, is a boner metaphor according to Freud. Don't read Freud if you value your sanity. Just trust me on that one. Just trust me. Superheroes and their alter egos represent duality. Two sides of one person contrasted against each other, the regular self and the super ego or something. I'm not a psychiatrist from Freud's era. I don't know these things, okay? Just something about the self and better self or some shit. So in this case, Superman represents the superhuman idealized version of pure masculinity, embodying stuff like strength, invulnerability, confidence, and being capable. His strongest relationship is with his alien father, whose power he inherited. Very patriarchy, very daddy issues, yes. Meanwhile, normal man Clark Kent is awkward and clumsy and even faints at one point and he's on about the 1978 movie specifically for context. Clark is hired for being a good typist, which is a very traditionally female occupation in the decades prior to this movie. And he was named after his human mother's middle name, Martha Clark Kent. Martha. Boys are taught to prefer Superman over Clark Kent and in turn their masculine qualities over more feminine ones if you can already not get rid of them. Queer-coded villains serve as further metaphor for fighting and suppressing one's own femininity and queer potential. EASTHOPE notes that Superman's patriarchal focus on his father actually makes him less heterosexual than Clark Kent, who is more focused on his romantic interest in Lois Lane. Fellas, is it gay to be straight? When we talk about men looking at women, binary oppositions are mapped to gender once again. Voyeurism and exhibitionism, active and passive, subject and object. Men are supposed to enjoy the act of looking, while women are supposed to enjoy being looked at. Women looking back or men enjoying being looked at and taking a passive role in that is not considered or accepted and may even induce hysteria. People get upset when a woman uses her image for profit in a way they don't when her image is being used by men.
That makes me a Playboy model now, officially. What's weird though, even though Playboy is also centered around lewd girls, people respect it more.
Interesting.
If it's companies using women for personal gain, but they don't respect the women themselves, they do it on their own.
Oh, having autonomy sucks and is
being
dumb.
entrepreneurs, getting the profits off their own body completely, that's weird.
Laura Mulvey coined the term male gaze in her book on visual and other pleasures. She is a feminist film theory writer, but I'd argue the chapter in question is very much about analyzing men and shit they do, hence can be counted in the men's studies. In it, she's looking at this dude's art who made like woman-shaped furniture for art reasons. Yes, that. Because she says it really boils down and shows how women's bodies are fetishized across mainstream media, not just in specific fetish contexts. She categorizes the ways women's bodies are being fetishized in 3 categories. Woman plus phallic substitute, woman minus phallic substitute being punished and humiliated, usually by the woman with the phallic substitute, and finally, woman as phallus. Just bear with me on that last one for now. I can't promise you it'll make sense, but it'll make more sense than it does out of context by the end of this. So, women's supposed castration needs to be hidden or distracted from via the phallic substitute in order to resolve the distress it would cause male viewers. This can take many shapes, from something as basic as holding a phallic-shaped object like a baseball bat to more abstract things like erect nipples or the concept of having long hair. Some of this stuff is also about specifically fetishizing phallic qualities about women, which will obviously put a specific focus on trans women for having more of those on average. This is not limited to actual genitalia, but also other physical attributes such as height, for example. There's a specific example in the text from the guy's notes where he proposes a female character to be cast with a 7-foot woman or a straight-up man. You know what most 7-foot women are? Trans. If the woman's castration isn't resolved, she needs to be punished, restrained, or otherwise made uncomfortable to make up for it. Mulvey notes how some of the fetish objects used for this can serve both as a phallic substitute and as a means of punishment, such as whips or high heels. The last category is making the woman herself the phallic substitute. It might involve stuff like putting her in a full bodysuit in order to make her body one unified shape, hardening her body in some way, or posing her in an erect or suspended posture, defying gravity and all that, you know. Freud actually talked about Medusa's myth because like phallic snake hair and her head getting cut off supposedly being a castration metaphor according to him, and I think he was in favor of the whole turning men to stone thing because it was a boner metaphor to him as well. I am still quite confused about that one. Again, don't read Freud, just don't do it. Women's bodies are used to project phallic imagery and male insecurities onto, creating a fantasy version of them, not a realistic representation. Something I've been thinking about with this is how stupid and truly actually unrealistic women's beauty standards are. Like, not just the idea of like models being expected to be way above average tall for cis women, but also stuff like thigh gaps. Like, the main thing estrogen does is give you extra fat tissue and put it straight into thigh, hip, and boob area. Thigh gaps are much easier to achieve on T. And you want to know how I know that? Because I've been on T for 3 years. I have never had a thigh gap while I was on E, despite being on the thin side my entire life. And now, crumbs and small objects will just fall through my lap because there's a hole in the middle of my thighs. This is not a beauty standard to put on people with estrogen in their system. It's stupid. Expecting women on E to still have thigh gaps and tall women to still be dainty and thin women to still be curvy and fat women to still have tiny waists and flat stomachs, it's just stuff that doesn't go together like that, like anatomically. it's physically impossible to achieve for the vast majority of women, including and notably even the cis women it's supposedly based on. Because it's not based on cis women, it's based on men's unrealistic fantasy versions of cis women. If you want to fetishize cis women, why not fetishize the things specific to them? The extremes they can reach. Why not fetishize the fat tissue, however little or much of it there might be and wherever it might be, including the belly and thighs? Why not fetishize the lack of a thigh gap and the little belly pouch, even on thin women? Why not fetishize how short and slender-faced and high-pitched cis women can be? Why are deep women's voices sexy and tall, bone-thin models hot? I mean, because they are. But I may be biased from hanging around with too many gorgeous trans women all the time, so you know. Bro, I'm like right at titty height, and if they wear like a short skirt, that's like 90% leg. It's just like, lads, any cis people that are into women watching this, watch Pose, watch any of the trans lady YouTubers. Just trust me. Where was I? Looking is used as a means of control and anxiety relief. You either distract from women's yonic genital nudity via phallic shit, or you control it via exposing all of it so you can see all of it. You know, to make sure it can't get you. Stealing your phallus, you know. Oh, there's a whole, don't read Freud, because there's a whole like nonsense explanation for why someone would want to get your phallus and want it for themselves or whatever. It's like penis envy and all that garbage that isn't real. Like, honey, no, that's not how women work. That's barely how trans guys work, and like those are the ones that are actually potentially envious of your phallus. So yeah, that's just kind of interesting. Next time we will look at the female gaze, because that is a thing too. For now, feel free to check out the various things I've linked in the description and my other videos if you're interested. Subscribe to my channel, read my comic, woo, plugs, yay, housekeeping, how are you? I will see you guys next time. Cheers, bye bye. The male hair, which, English, you fail me again. There we go. That's what I wrote. That is what I wrote. Good job me, yay, okay. Subject, like it would be for, do it better like that than you wrote it, because you wrote garbage, but it's fine. Straight boy simps respond to, I can't just say simps, like, I can't just be like, simps, David Attenborough voice. No. Being the more socially acceptable and straighter version. Straighter version. Traditional masculinity suffers from anxiety in general. Just in general, anxiety tends to be an issue among men. Yes, very scary. Well, yeah. I hate it, but it'll be funny. I'm looking forward to all the manosphere bros that will look to me as just an icon of masculinity. Embodying stuff like strength and invulnerability, impenetrability, castle, and all that. Definitely no other kind of penetration. Don't think about that. Don't think about phalluses and penetration. Definitely. Hi. Welcome to my channel. Embodying stuff like strength, invulnerability. Can you see me f***ing crying? Oh my god. I need to stop laughing. I'm so glad I'm not wearing makeup. That can get ruined today. Martha. I can't talk about Superman with a fucking straight face because I hate Superman, man. Like, damn. I don't quite have the Lex Luthor hair from that one movie with the Jesse in it. I don't know things anymore, man. Scopophilia. Hua. Scopophilia. Do you know what this means? It means the pleasure of looking. Do you feel the pleasure of looking? Yeah, baby. Don't you feel pleasure looking at these? Like, why are you like this? Why are you like this? No, you watching Austin Powers with your friends the other week does not cut it for this, but I'm so sorry, but no, fucking, that's not an excuse. That's not a fucking excuse this time, my god. Woman. Oh, women. defying gravity and all that. Defying gravity. Oh my, I'm not gonna. That was so off. That was so off. My God. Defying gravity. That's definitely what the song "Defying Gravity" from the Wicked musical is about. Definitely. That's definitely what that one is about. Boners. Yes. Hi. According to Freud, it is.